Okay, welcome back to the bright side. Last we spoke, we're discussing the somewhat unknown but very important nutrient, SAMe. It's not necessarily, as we said, an essential nutrient. You don't absolutely positively have to take SAMe as a supplement. The body can make SAMe under healthy circumstances. Of course, healthy circumstances aren't always present, but under normal healthy circumstances, the body makes its own SAMe. Unfortunately, because we're not always as healthy, or we're not always as nutritionally loaded as we should be, and given its importance, taking 200 or 400 milligrams of SAMe every day might not be a bad idea. One of the most important roles for SAMe involves mental health and involves the health of the brain. It helps you make brain chemicals. It helps you make dopamine, which is a very important pleasure-related neurotransmitter. It helps you make emergency chemicals, stimulating brain chemicals. It helps you make myelin, which protects the nerves of the central nervous system. Insulation helps keep electrical energy flowing smoothly through the nervous system under conditions of myelin defects, demyelinization diseases, when myelin is not produced correctly. All kinds of symptoms can arise. Movement disorders, palsies like Bell palsy, Parkinson's disease, neuropathies, paralysis, impaired vision, numbness, difficulties in speech. There's all kinds of problems that are associated with myelin problems. Incontinence, weak bladder control. These are all examples of health issues that can be associated with myelin production problems. Actually, no, Parkinson's disease may not be a myelin issue. In any case, movement disorders are myelin problems oftentimes. And because methionine and SAMe is actually a type of methionine, is very, very important for producing myelin, helping the body produce myelin. Any kind of movement disorders or myelin defects may be reason enough to supplement with 200 or 400 milligrams of SAMe. If you have any kind of nervous problem, in fact, a nervous system disorder, I would certainly think about supplementing with SAMe. SAMe also plays an important role in the health of the liver. Again, because SAMe is important for helping the body work with fats. We've talked about how methionine is a very important fat-burning supplement. Bodybuilders know about it, and a lot of bodybuilding and weightlifting and athlete supplements for helping athletes cut into fat or burn fat will contain methionine. SAMe, being a type of methionine, also helps the body process fats, and the liver is the main fat processing organ in the body. When liver health breaks down, it tends to accumulate fat. As we get older, we get fatty liver. The doctor will tell you, oh, it's just normal. It's just a normal part of aging. It is not a normal part of aging to have a fatty liver. It's a sign of liver dysfunction. It's a sign that the liver is being overworked. It's a sign that the liver is being undernutriated. Now, that could be a normal part of aging because most of us aren't getting enough nutrition, and most of us have livers that are overworked. If you're on prescription drugs, if you're not getting, if your diet is not right, if you're eating too much fructose or eating too many carbs, or if you've got any kind of nutritional deficiencies, especially in vitamin E and vitamin A and fatty nutrients, you could very well end up with fatty liver disease, as they call it, non-alcoholic fatty liver disease, to distinguish it from the kind of fatty liver disease that alcoholics get. Now, we're all getting fatty liver disease, just like you used to have to be an alcoholic to get fatty liver disease. Now, doctors say it's just a normal part of aging. It affects 1 out of 3 Americans. That's 100 million or more Americans who are dealing with some degree of fatty liver disease. Of course, if you're an alcoholic or you're drinking a lot of booze, you're at even higher risk for fatty liver disease. Think SAMe, protect the liver. To understand the importance of SAMe, you got to understand one of the most important and really underappreciated of all the bodily processes, and this is something called activation. Chemistry is like Tinker Toys. We've said this so many times. You know, when I tell people that I'm a chemist or I like chemistry, immediately people think nerd, or when people hear chemistry, they think, oh, that's really hard, and organic chemistry has a reputation for being one of the most difficult subjects that you could take in college or high school. But chemistry is really just about shapes. That's all it is, shapes. I like to compare it to Tinker Toys. We've said this so many times before. Chemistry is like Tinker Toys. And chemical reactions, which is really what life is all about, is just a bunch of Tinker Toys being changed and taking on different shapes and taking on different structures. Chemical structures are like Tinker Toys. In fact, when they're teaching you chemistry, in organic chemistry, they actually use not exactly Tinker Toys, but Tinker Toy-like objects to help show students how chemicals are formed and how they're broken apart and all the different things that go on in the body in terms of biochemistry. Chemical reactions are nothing more than the formation of different Tinker Toy shapes. That's all chemistry is, the study of Tinker Toys that regulate and directly create every single thing in the body. Tinker Toys that regulate life itself. Chemistry is life. Chemistry is Tinker Toys. That's it. And one of the main ways that Tinker Toys get manipulated or structured in the body is by something called activation. There's lots of ways that these Tinker Toys can get activated, but essentially Tinker Toy activation occurs by a little rod or a little disc. If you can remember your Tinker Toys when you were a kid, there were little circles and discs and rods. And activation in the body, chemical activation in the body, is nothing more than a disc being stuck onto a Tinker Toy, all of a sudden making that Tinker Toy into an active kind of compound. Simply by sticking a little Tinker Toy onto a much larger Tinker Toy shape, an activation of that larger shape can occur. Hang tight, I'll tell you what I mean when we come back from our break. I am Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. Okay, so back to our talk on Tinker Toys. That's all chemistry is. As complicated as it sounds, it's not that complicated. Just think Tinker Toys. Think shapes and think Tinker Toys taking on different shapes. Sometimes a little piece will get stuck onto a Tinker Toy, and we say that Tinker Toy is activated. This activation process is one of the most important of all biochemical phenomena in the body. We say a chemical is activated when a little piece gets stuck on it, and now that chemical can do work. And this allows Tinker Toys to float around the body in an inactive state. It allows Tinker Toys to just float around the body and only become activated when they're needed. This is a handy way for the body to have Tinker Toys ready all the time without having to make them from scratch. There's always going to be a certain amount of Tinker Toys floating around, so when the body needs them, all it has to do is stick a little piece, a little rod, or a little disc onto that Tinker Toy and activate it. It doesn't have to deal with manufacturing that chemical from scratch. It allows the body to have instant access to chemistry, instant access to Tinker Toys, if you will. One of the most important types of Tinker Toy activation, I hope I'm not belaboring the point here of Tinker Toys, but one of the most important Tinker Toy activation process is something called methylation. Methylation is something that was all kind of in the news about 10 or 15 years ago. You don't hear too much about it now, but it's still very, very important. Dr. Wallach's new book, Epigenetics, is all about, or at least partially about, methylation. Methylation is a very important activation for the genetics of the body. Our DNA gets activated via methylation. That's partially, at least, what epigenetics is about. This methylation, this methyl group, if you will, it's kind of like a little chunk of carbon. You can think of it like a little disc that gets stuck on a Tinker Toy. It's like a universal type of activation to create various activated chemicals in the body. Methylation is occurring every second of every day. In fact, it's not just occurring every second of every day. It's occurring millions of times, billions of times, every minute of every day. Methylation is a very, very, very important process. Probably, it may be the single most important category of chemical reactions. Certainly, it's the most important of all the activation processes that occur in the body. Methylation protects us from cancer. It protects us from mutations. It's important for growth. It's important for development. It's especially important for the growth and development of a fetus. That's why women will take folic acid. Folic acid is a very important supporter of methylation. Pregnant women use folic acid to prevent birth defects. Birth defects can be caused by a methylation problem. Methylation is critical for detox. Brain chemistry depends on methylation. Serotonin, norepinephrine, that's another brain chemical. Dopamine, these are all brain chemicals. They're all dependent on methylation. This is why SAMe is used to treat depression. SAMe is a very powerful methylating agent. Bipolar issues, mood disorders, these can all be related to methylation problems. Chemicals that improve methylation. We're going to talk about a few of these here in a minute. Chemicals that, supplements, nutritional elements that can improve methylation have been used to treat all of these various methylation problems. In fact, it wouldn't be a stretch to say that methylation is essential for the effective functioning of every single cell and every single system in the body. And because it occurs by these things called methyl activators, making sure you got enough of these things present in the body, either through supplementation, I'll tell you about these here in a minute, or through diet, can be a very, very, very important health strategy. You can think of these methyl contributors, these activation contributors, or methylating agents as they're technically known as. You can think of them as carriers. They carry these little chunks of activating groups, these little chunks of carbon. They have a little tiny chunk of carbon that's attached to them. They travel throughout the blood and they look around for chemicals that need to be activated. You got lots of different methyl carriers or activating biochemicals that can travel through the blood in this fashion. And this methyl activating group, this little tiny chunk of carbon, is one of the tiniest and simplest molecules that you can imagine. It has an elegant little shape, these methyl groups. So, if you're a chemistry lover, it's hard not to really be awed by the symmetry of a methyl group. It's just a carbon with 3 little hydrogens off of it. It's just a beautiful, elegant, simple structure that's got amazing, amazing importance for health. One of the most important of these methylating agents is something called TMG, which we commonly call betaine. Now, we've talked about betaine many, many, many times on this program. Pretty much every day we talk about betaine a little bit, except we talk about it as something called betaine HCL, or betaine hydrochloride. That's one of the active ingredients in Youngevity's ultimate enzymes. When you stick a little piece of acid onto betaine, you get a wonderful digestive supplement, a wonderful way to upregulate or to stimulate acid activity in your stomach. As we get older, we don't make enough stomach acid. As the aging process kicks in, our ability to make acid decreases. This despite the fact that so many elderly folks are taking antacids, and so many people in general are taking antacid type medication. Larry the Cable Guy loves Prilosec or Nexium. I forgot what he does his commercials for. There's this implication that we suffer from too much acid, when actually most of the time it's too little acid that we're dealing with, causing problems with digestion. Well, betaine HCL is not only a great way to get hydrochloric acid, or to increase hydrochloric acid activity in the stomach, but as it turns out, betaine is actually a very important methylating agent. So when you take your ultimate enzymes, not only do you support your digestion, but you also support methylation. You also support chemical activation. I love supplements that are multifunctional, and the ultimate enzymes from Youngevity are exactly that. They're multifunctional. Not only do you get your HCL, hydrochloric acid, to improve the digestive process, but you also get betaine to improve overall biochemistry in the body. Betaine, as I say, is also known as TMG. Betaine's a very, very simple compound. It gets its name from the fact that it was first discovered in beets. Betaine is super functional. You can use betaine is used in the skincare business, in the shampoo business, in the cleanser business. It's a very rare shampoo or cleanser that doesn't have betaine in it, because it's got this, first of all, it's very reactive betaine, and then also it's got a relatively gentle nature. It makes an ideal sudsing agent. Betaine, you'll see if you look on the ingredient deck of your shampoo or your facial cleanser, almost always you'll see something called cocoa betaine, which is a type of betaine that was derived originally from coconut. Sometimes they'll call it cocamidopropyl betaine, but it's still a type of betaine, and it's got some really neat sudsing properties, and it's super gentle as well. All right, let's see here. I got a lot to say about betaine. We'll talk about this on our next Bright Side episode and tell you some more really neat methylating agents. And that's it. We're going to come back with your phone calls right after this. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side on the Genesis Communication Network. We'll be back right after this. we are back on the bright side. Thank you for being here, friends. Time to hit our phones, 855-660-4261. I was eavesdropping on my call screener, and I heard him talking to a gentleman about the Beyond Tangy Tangerine and about the ketogenic diet. So I thought I want to talk a little bit about the ketogenic diet. So I thought we'd put Bob on first. What's up, Bob? How you doing, buddy?
Yes, sir.
Welcome to the bright side, my friend. I didn't mean to interrupt your conversation with my screener, but I kind of heard him talking, and I want to talk a little bit about the ketogenic diet. Why don't you ask us your question, and then I'll give the folks a little 411.
Sounds good.
Go ahead, my friend.
Well, I heard you last Thursday, and there was a lady on your show that had a seizure disorder and also had traumatic brain injury from a automobile accident. And I've got a young gentleman, 16 years old, neighbor, who has seizure disorders.
Okay.
And I would like to guess you had talked about a diet.
Yes. That's called the ketogenic diet. It's a very low sugar diet. And by sugar, I'm talking also bread and pasta and cereals, basically low refined flours and carbohydrate kind of diet. What it does is it calms the brain down. Sugar, when you eat sugar or bread or pasta, refined carbohydrates, flour, those fruit juice, desserts, all the foods we beat up on here on the bright side, you end up with this high blood sugar initially, and then low blood sugar, and then you get a surge of stress hormones to stabilize the sugar, and then your blood sugar goes up and down and up and down, and cortisol, stress hormone, goes up and down and up and down. And all this can put a major stress on the nervous system, especially on the brain. So calming the body down and calming the chemistry down is always a good health strategy, but especially if there's conductivity issues, problems with electrical conductivity. And that's basically what a seizure is. It's a short circuit in the electrical energy in the brain. So calming the body down is a very, very important and helpful strategy. The ketogenic diet does just that. It calms the body down, which means it's not just important for seizure disorders, it's important for all disorders, and it's a very important anti-aging strategy as well. So don't think of the ketogenic diet, and I'll tell you how you do that here in a minute, but don't think of it as just for seizure disorders. Think about it for longevity, think about it for anti-aging, think about it for overall health, certainly for any inflammatory diseases that you may have. And of course, all diseases have an inflammatory component. So what does it involve? It involves restricting the amount of bread and pasta and cereal and eating more saturated fat as well as fat, most coconut oil types of fat, butter, ghee, and then also making sure you're getting enough protein. And then also making sure you're getting your micronutrients, especially micronutrients that help you process sugar, including magnesium and the B vitamins. Magnesium and B vitamins are also very calming. Turns out that nutrients that help you process sugar also have a calming effect on the body and on the brain. So long story short, ketogenic diet means restricting breads, sugars, fruit juices, anything that spikes your blood sugar and your insulin, and increasing your intake of saturated fats, and protein, and then making sure that you're getting your micronutrients as well. I got a letter a couple days ago anyway from a gal in Korea, Suzanne. I know she's listening. I think she's listening because she listens a lot, and she sends me letters a lot. Thank you, Suzanne. She sent me a really neat note, and she's absolutely correct about this. It turns out that cannabinoids, especially these legal cannabinoids are the active ingredients in marijuana, but the body makes cannabinoids. Your skin makes cannabinoids. Your brain makes cannabinoids. That's right. Your brain makes the same kind of active materials that are found in marijuana and pot, which is just another reason why marijuana laws are so stupid, and just another example of government fascist control trying to regulate a plant that contains chemicals that are made in the brain, made in the body. Nonsensical, ridiculous government strategy. In any case, it turns out that some of these active materials, and we're finding more and more of these active materials in the marijuana plant, some of these active materials have anti-seizure benefits. And Suzanne sent me a note about something, I think she said called it CBG. There's many of these fractions that are found in marijuana, and drug companies, of course, are trying to make synthetic versions of these so they can sell them for a lot of money. But you might want to have your friend look up something called CBG. Also, there's another one called CBD. These are not exactly the psychoactive component in marijuana, but they've got nice relaxing properties, especially for seizures. And you can explore that. I think you can find on the internet, you can find some sublingual versions of this CBG and CBD. You can also find versions of this CBG, this active component in marijuana, that you can inhale. in various types of devices, inhaler devices, and these can have some modulating effects on brain chemistry and may be beneficial for seizure disorders. Thank you, Suzanne, for pointing that out. I forgot to mention that to our listener. So ketogenic diet, you might want to look at these cannabinoid type of substances that you can find on the internet. And then there's great nutritional supplements for seizure disorders. One of the best is something called GABA, G-A-B-A. Magnesium, as I said earlier, may have some calming properties on the brain. Certainly the B vitamins can be wonderful in this regard, and anything that helps you metabolize sugar can have a benefit too. Glycine is also an amino acid, Glycine, that has been used to treat seizure disorders in the past, and same with vitamin E. That may help you, and coenzyme Q10 might be a benefit as well. So lots of things you could do if you're dealing with seizure disorders. Most especially they involve calming the brain, relaxing the electrical energy that flows through the brain to keep those short circuits from happening. It kind of makes sense when you think about it. If you have a lot of energy going through the brain, you're more likely to have short circuits, but by calming the brain down, using nutrition, nutritional supplements, dietary strategies, you can reduce the incidences of seizures. Thanks for your question there, Bob. And don't forget to, Bob, if you're there, are you still there, my friend?
I am, but I'm supposed to be in a staff meeting.
Go ahead. You're free to go. Send me an email.
I don't do that.
You don't do email?
My address?
Yeah, but I can't get your address unless you send me an email, so I don't know how you'll do it.
I can't give it to you now?
I can't. Okay, you hang tight, we'll get your phone number. John will get your phone number off air. Thanks so much for your call. Appreciate it, Bob. And thanks for your question. Okay, let's move on to Montana. Welcome Wally to the bright side. What's up, buddy?
Hey, good morning, Doc. How are you doing?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I got a question on a 7-month-old. He was just 7 months old yesterday.
Happy 7-month birthday.
Bedridden since born.
Okay.
He has good motor skills.
Why is he bedridden?
He's 13.5 pounds.
What's going on? Why is he bedridden?
He's been diagnosed with a chromosome deletion 12q.
Okay, so he has some kind of genetic thing going on. Is he breastfeeding?
No, they're feeding him through a tube into the stomach, into the intestines, I believe. He cannot keep anything down.
Well, you can use nutrition, but I'll tell you what. I assume he's got a doctor and he's got multiple doctors watching over him.
Well, apparently he spent the last almost 6 months in a Denver hospital.
This is an infant?
Yes, 7-month-old.
7-month-old infant. Wow. Obviously nutrition is important, and I hope they're taking care of it, but I don't know that they would be. You may want, is this somebody you know, obviously, right?
Yes, a friend, yes.
Okay, you may want to have the parents making absolutely positively sure that the baby's getting plenty of nutrition, especially energizing nutrients and the ones that get lost the quickest, which are the electrolytes and the B vitamins and vitamin C. But I'll tell you what, as long as he's under that kind of intense hospital care and doctor care, it's going to be tough to do anything with it for him nutritionally that doesn't pass through the doctors. But have the parents making sure that he's getting enough water-soluble electrolytes and B vitamins, and then also vitamin C. Those are the most important things that I would consider. But again, it's going to be tough because you're going to be working through. You're going to have to get everything through the hospital and through the doctors.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Wally. I appreciate your call. Okay, we'll take a break. We're coming back with your phone calls. Got a couple lines open at 855-660-4261. If you're on hold, hang on. We'll get to you when we come back from our timeout. I'm Pharmacist Ben. You're listening to The Bright Side. We'll be back after this. We're back on the bright side, reading from Medscape for Pharmacists. Use of anti-anxiety or sleeping medications may significantly increase mortality risk. This is a headline from Medscape for Pharmacists. The headline actually says, may triple mortality risk. Anti-anxiety medication, so-called anxiolytics, and sleeping medications may triple mortality risk. And they're specifically picking on Ambien here. And that is, I can't say I'm surprised as a pharmacist. There's no way a drug cannot increase your risk of mortality simply because the body's got to expend its precious resources detoxifying your medication. Now, if you're on one medicine once in a while, that's one thing. But if you're on chronic medication, what's that going to do to your liver? That means your liver is now got to spend its precious resources, which are usually in scarce supply, given the standard American diet, on detoxification of toxic medications. And this has nothing to do with side effects, by the way. This is not going to be on the package insert. You're not going to read about it in the side effect profile. This is just how the body works. It's going to have to detoxify your meds. That means less vitamin C and less B complex and less magnesium that's going to be around for keeping you healthy. That's why I say prescription drugs are poisons, not being poetic or rhetorical. They're literally poisons. They require the expenditure of precious resources, and there's no way that cannot have a negative effect on your life as well as a negative effect on your longevity. Okay, 855-660-4261 is our number. Rose, what is up? Welcome to the bright side, my dear. How you doing?
Hi, Ben. We always appreciate your effort, your kindness, and all the goodness there is in you. I wanted to ask you, I don't want to take time. I feel guilty because I know there's other major conditions, if my youngest son emails you and he's going to use Alan because he sent you a message to Facebook.
Yeah, his name was Alan,
and he's an older teenager, and he's kind of sensitive and very hyper about this condition.
What's his condition? What does he have?
He has dry skin. I've explained to him what I've learned with you.
Okay.
Still, because you may have that ability to convey to him in a way to convince him, because
I'll be glad to talk to him. Make sure he puts on there Alan. But just so you know, real quick, for our listeners and anybody who's concerned about dry skin, number one, it is not a cosmetic problem. It is not a superficial problem. It's a chemistry problem. And if you have dry skin, that means you got a problem in your chemistry that could very well be shortening your life or causing or resulting in some kind of degenerative disease or worse. So dry skin is a significant and serious problem. And the fact that most people, not many people, most people have dry skin. I'm speaking to you as somebody who's been in the skincare business for 30 years. Okay, I know a thing or two about the skin, and I can tell you that most, not many, most people have dry skin, especially as they get older. So what you want to do for dry skin is step number one, work on fat absorption issues. That means the gallbladder and the stomach and the intestine, all your digestive strategies. The nightly essence product is important. Digestive enzymes are very important. You can use lecithin. All your fat metabolizing strategies that we talk about on the bright side all the time are very, very important for dry skin. Secondly, vitamin A, vitamin E, and essential fatty acids, especially the ultimate EFAs from Longevity, are almost, I'm not going to tell you it's a cure for dry skin, but pretty darn close to a cure for dry skin, assuming, of course, you're absorbing your essential fatty acids. Nothing will induce dry skin faster than an essential fatty acid deficiency. And again, vitamin A is also important, as is vitamin E. Topically, you can use topical fatty vitamin C can be helpful. Vitamin C is involved in the production of moisture factors in the skin. And once the skin becomes dry, then you're off to the races with eczema and psoriasis and other skin diseases, because dry skin can destabilize skin chemistry and lead to inflammatory and other types of skin diseases. So dry skin needs to be treated, number one, as a fat metabolism issue using digestive support for fats, and number two, apple cider vinegar, by the way, can help also, and number two, fatty nutrients, especially vitamins A, vitamin E, and essential fatty acids, the ultimate EFAs from Longevity. And most importantly, treat dry skin as a very, very important chemistry and metabolic issue. Thanks for your call, Rose. And make sure you send Alan to ben@ksco.com and put on there, have him put on the subject that you're his son, that Rose is his mom. Thanks for your call. Appreciate it. Karen in Texas, what's going on? Welcome to the bright side.
First of all, I wanted to thank you for being part of the Fukushima Solutions.
Oh, thank you. You were there?
I went to that website and just clicked on your name, and your website came up.
Oh, good. Did you hear my presentation? Is it up there?
Yes, I was there.
Oh, you were there. Did you talk to me? Did I talk to you? Sound familiar?
I didn't get to talk to you, but what I'm calling about is EPI, and they have an ad running on the radio trying to get people to go in and get some kind of pharmaceutical medication for this. And I don't take pharmaceuticals. I take,
good for you.
Just the natural things.
Okay, so let's talk about pancreatic insufficiency. I assume that's what you mean by EPI.
Exocrine pancreatic insufficiency.
Right.
Actually, ever since I had a hysterectomy.
Okay, that's kind of interesting, but although not surprising, because the pancreas helps you metabolize fats, and once you have a hysterectomy, you lose your female organs, your ability to process fats becomes compromised. This is the most important, but one of the most important after effects of a hysterectomy that they don't tell you about is you will not be able to absorb and utilize fats as effectively, and that can tumble out of control. It can cause digestive problems, it can cause hormone problems, it can cause skin problems. There's all kinds of, you're just a Pandora's box of side effects once you have your female organs removed. And they don't tell you this. So, that's just how it goes. Now, the pancreas is a major fat metabolizing or gland. And we think of the pancreas, if we know a little bit about health anyway, we think of the pancreas as a structure for helping us use sugars. And indeed it is. It's very important for making insulin. But what you don't hear a lot is that fat digestion depends on a healthy pancreas. And if you have any kind of impairment in fat absorption or fat digestion or fat utilization, it can either be caused by or it can in turn cause a pancreatic insufficiency. Now, don't worry about the word exocrine in EPI. Exocrine just as it refers to the type of hormones that are produced. The main thing you want to think about with EPI is pancreatic insufficiency. So what you want to do is, number one, support the pancreas. Then you do it from two directions. Most importantly, you reduce the load on the pancreas, especially by reducing your intake of carbohydrates, fast-burning sugars and carbs, bread, pasta, fruit juice. This is the most, if you have to pick one single thing to do for your health in terms of nutrition and diet, restricting your amount of processed carbohydrates is probably at or near at least the top of the list, especially if you have a pancreatic insufficiency issue. You can also use bicarbonate. That may help you with the pancreas. There's a really neat guy named Dr. Mark Circus. That's spelled S as in Sam, I-R-C-U-S, and he writes a lot about using bicarbonate for the pancreas. You may want to look into some of Dr. Circus's work. And then also using, in addition to restricting or limiting the amount of refined carbohydrates and sugars and fruit juices that you're eating, and in addition to bicarbonate, you may also want to use pancreatic enzymes. You can get pancreatic enzymes as a prescription, or you can get something called pancreatin. That's available in health food stores. The Ultimate Enzymes from Youngevity will get you a little bit of pancreatin also. And then your general nutrients for the pancreas, the B complex is very important. Magnesium can be helpful, and the sweeties from Youngevity, because of the chromium and vanadium, can also be helpful. Making sure that you're using smaller amounts of fats and supporting fat metabolism in general is another strategy. Using bile salts, you'll find those in the Ultimate Enzymes. You can also get bile salts by themselves. We've talked so much about lecithin. It's really important for fat metabolism. It's a component of bile. So using lecithin on a daily basis is going to be important for you. Apple cider vinegar at the end of the meals can help. And then methionine is an amino acid. We've talked about it a little bit, and we'll talk about it more in the coming days for fat metabolism. Also, choline can help you. The amino acid taurine may be helpful for fat metabolism. And then let's see if there's anything else. That's a big chunk of information, and I hope that helps you, ma'am. Is there anything else you want to ask?
Well, I don't take in any. I don't eat sugars.
Well, you got to eat some sugars. Everybody eats some sugars. I mean, they're found in
unless
vegetables.
I'm eating some kind of fruit, and I try to restrict not eating too much of that.
Well, I can't tell you what's too much. Only you can tell. But keeping it down, keeping it limited is your best strategy. And that's all the time we have. Sorry if I left you on hold. I apologize for that. Had a couple calls I wanted to get to, but I didn't. Thanks, Karen. Appreciate your call. Okay, tomorrow we'll continue talking about this whole idea of methylation and activation. By the way, if you're on hold, call back tomorrow and tell our call screener we left you on hold. I'll get you first up. Okay, that's it. That's all the time we have for today. Tomorrow we'll continue talking about methylation and some of these nutritional supplements that you can use to improve methylation. And let's see what else. Oh, if you're going to be in Arkansas, I'm going to be doing a talk this Thursday and Friday in Arkansas. Send me a note at ben@ksco.com. I'll give you the scoop. And then also we'll talk about it a little bit tomorrow. Thanks for listening, folks. I'm Pharmacist Ben. Have yourselves a wonderful, beautiful day. Talk to you later, folks. Bye for now.